Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome to a new episode I'm trying out on for the YouTube channel, Wrestling Highlight of the Week. It's going to be reviews on Ring of Honor, NXT and Impact Wrestling, and just trying to see which one really had a better showcasing of storytelling and booking. It's not going to be based on reviews of the move per move of the matches. Everybody would already be doing that sort of stuff, so I'm not going to go over, oh yeah, this is the best moment I know. So it's just to highlight really the best storytelling of the week and trying to move forward with that, so to speak. So I'm not sure how these shows are going to go or how the reaction people will have, but hopefully they'll go well and I move forward with more episodes. Start off, Ring of Honor 291 was this week, NXT 388 and Impact Wrestling debuting on Spike TV UK. They returned to Spike. I must say, Ring of Honor show was, I think, the weakest out of the three. It wasn't that great of a show. I got the Fight Network a few weeks ago, and it's the first time I had to sit and really watch Ring of Honor show from start to finish. Same with NXT. I watched the clips on YouTube, but I watched the show start to finish NXT, and Ring of Honor show just, there's nothing there almost. It's like, I know they had elements of things happening and like the starting match with Chris Sabin and the Rebellion and Leo Rush coming to help Sabin because Alex Shelley's out on an injury, but it was like, where is the aftermath of that? Just give me a little bit more to it, and it just felt very kind of like almost like a Sunday Night Heat type of show. I know how that's gonna sound, but that's the way it felt. Just like the match you put together, and then everybody cheers on the move type of thing, rather than give me something to build a little bit more and more and more, rather than just hear some matches and enjoy them. Where NXT, for example, they built on the matches. Like, it started off with promo, typical WWE, but Bobby Roode talking about how he took out Shinsuke Nakamura, and this is his era. He's selling himself as a champion, and then Tommy came out and basically didn't say anything and just gave him to go to sleep, and it was like he just sold that. Probably a bit more better storytelling than what that metaphor was with Sabin and the Rebellion, because it just be like, we didn't need to do so much broadening in the promo or anything like that. It was just pretty much like, okay, Itami's the next challenger. That was it, and it was just clear and it was just simple and direct. Where Ring of Honor, it's just kind of like the opening was not really that spectacular, or that opening was just not that make you want to stay tuned for the rest of the show type of thing. Where if you go to the tag team match afterwards, the tag team match gave you that little bit more of a excitement feel, a little bit more of a adrenaline feel compared to the opening. So it should have really started off with tag team match, then gone into the single match, so the crowd could kind of go up and down and up again for the main event of the 8-man tag. So I just think the way they put the match, it was a bit the wrestling was not much different to wrestling you see on Impact or NXT, so I'm not going to be judging the reviews on the impact of the wrestling, because to me it's just sometimes it's depending who's in the ring rather than the moves or anything like that. So that's why I'm not going to focus these reviews on the wrestling particularly, because with this type of era you're always going to have high flyers and things like that. So unless anything was like a major thing like Braun Strowman breaking the ring, or then I will be reviewing them parts and matches, things like that, but not specifically for move type of thing. The tag team match on Ring of Honor 291 was good, the middle part, and then he got to the main event, the 8-man tag, and it started off quite slow. Then the last 5 minutes of it was awesome. I would have given that. They really done some good back and forth stuff. It weird with the other team was kind of attacking each other, and it's just a bit. Again, it wasn't a lot of storytelling told by the commentators. There's only little bits of here and there with Paige and being part of Bullet Club and stuff like that, and a bit of Hanson on the single career and stuff. So it's a bit, the letdown there, I think, is just the commentators not selling enough, and I think that's a problem a little bit of Ring of Honor. And the crowd, people complain about Impact crowd being dead or not just interested in the matches. The Ring of Honor crowd about the same. If you look at the crowds, there's no real difference there. I mean, to me, half of that crowd was just as dead as what an Impact crowd is. So, again, you know, Ring of Honor show was not great to me. So that's gonna be a no for this week. That is not the best show of the week out of the three. So we're gonna move on to NXT. As I said before about the promo, Bobby Roode and Itami, that was a good promo. And even after they cut to backstage with another promo of Gallagher and Tyler Bate about the UK Championship match next week. They shot back to the ring and Bobby Roode's still laying out for to go to sleep. He's still selling it, and it's like that's how you do a storytelling moving forward, and that's what I think Brian Bonner kind of lacked on that from the start of the show, where NXT kind of like, okay, we got something here, like this is class versus class, almost tradition versus tradition in a sense, and that's the way it felt like, you know, when they both come out in suits, but they're almost opposite characters, almost like you got a spectrum there by Roode and the spectrum there of Itami, and it's like, okay, this could be interesting. So that started off NXT in an interesting way because it was a really good strong promo there, and a good selling by Bobby Roode. He hit back to professional wrestling. He remember from TNA, so sorry. Impact. So it started off really good there, and then you had you go on to the other matches. Before the steel cage match, the other matches were okay, nothing spectacular between them. You know, the women's tag team matches, sorry, not divas. The women's tag team match, it should have had a bit more time. It was a bit short. They tried to make room for the steel cage match. To me, that tag team match should have been on there. You know, it should have been put for next week to allow them more time. The steel cage match was really good storytelling. It's just the way that they sold about Sanity, you know, attacking Ty Dillinger, and he wants EY alone. So this is the reason for the cage match. That's how you sell a cage match, not like a Hell in a Cell pay-per-view. Would not mention there. But you know, that's really how you build up to a steel cage, by just saying like this team's interfering, the stable and everything like that, where they just want him one-on-one until they put the cage around it. Although the stipulation of the escape of the cage bit with the door kind of defies the purpose of having it, because he still can get out anyway. So it would have been slightly better if it had a Hell in a Cell match. I think that would have really like finished it off, like really gave it more of an impact rather than a steel cage, because you still got to escape the cage anyway. So it kind of like EY still running away from Ty Dillinger, not being face to face. So it's kind of the stipulation there was a bit, but the finish was a good finish, I think, where, you know, they did the crossbody from the top, and then he knocked out EY and the other member of Sanity. Then, you know, when the other guy came in, Ty Dillinger got out of the door, and he locked all the Sanity in the cage, because they're crazy and stuff. So they really sold the match well. Ty Dillinger coming back for his revenge, and they really finished that feud of Ty Dillinger and EY, so EY can move forward to the next feud with somebody else, whoever that would be. I'm guessing Roderick Strong or Kakiyono, one of them guys probably. But yeah, it was definitely a good steel cage match. I would say that it was a better main event than Ring of Honor's 8-man tag main event, because it really like sold it from start to finish, and it was just a perfect storytelling wise of, you know, the last revenge chance for Ty Dillinger, and he won it. It was like, you know, that sweet victory he had at the end, and Sanity just gone crazy in the ring, like screaming like no. And so definitely a well-earned victory for Ty Dillinger, and overall a definitely good showing by NXT this week of storytelling. So I'll say that NXT is better than Ring of Honor this week. Moving on to Impact Wrestling. Interesting show. It started off with LAX, a tag team match with some jobbers, and they won it, no problem. And then Conan started to introduce who they are a little bit more, which is great because you're getting me interested into the characters of, you know, who are these guys, and that's what you need to do, and I didn't feel like Ring of Honor did that. Where Botchamania, Impact Wrestling did that this week with the character development. They moved forward in that direction, the same way NXT were doing. So I think they definitely deserve credit for that this week with LAX. Then you had Decay come out and brought in, setting up for the match next week. So again, the show started off pretty good. And again, this is where Ring of Honor didn't quite do that. It didn't give me enough of interest of, okay, why should I keep watching the rest of the show, or why should I be in tune for next week? And that's where NXT and Impact both did that at the start of the shows. They gave me a reason to continue next week as well, a lot more compared to Ring of Honor. So again, sorry Ring of Honor fans, it's a down for this week, so they're not up. Sorry, I know I've stolen that from my culture for you all bad on me. But again, then of course you had an announcement about Global Force Wrestling merged with TNA, Impact. So it's like, that typical promo stuff. Then they announced that the 6-man X Division for the main event. So it kind of devalued the world title a little bit. So it kind of meant, well, the X Division, I know the X Division was the main focus for Impact, for a long time. So they're trying to bring back that focus again for the X Division, which was an interesting view where they did that. But it's kind of like your world title should still be the main event regardless. Really, the X Division could have opened the show, and that would give a lot more of an interest as well, rather than the tag team put that in between somewhere. So I think the way they did it was kind of weird, with the world title being second from last, rather than the X Division title being, before. So I'm not quite sure why they decided to change that. And I will get to the world title soon as well. You had Roman and ODB, normal knockouts type matchup. So again, every title, apart from the Impact Grand Championship, I don't know why that wasn't on the line. If you're going to go all titles, because the tag titles were, the knockout title were the heavyweight and the X Division. So I'm not quite sure why Moose didn't defend it with somebody. But it looks like he will be against Davey Richards, because he attacked him backstage. So again, that's another story development of moving forward from Cody Rhodes. It started off a good show. The world title match was a bit strange with EC3, because EC3 done a heel turn on James Storm by hitting him with a beer bottle, and yet the crowd was against Lashley here. I don't know if he's still the European crowd from WrestleMania, probably not, but it was like the crowd was just booing Lashley tonight, saying Lashley boring. It was really strange reaction to Lashley, unless he done something prior to the crowd or something outside of the Impact Zone to really be. He just got his hatred against him with the crowd. It's like Lashley boring, and it's just really kind of it's almost like Roman Reigns heat that Lashley was getting there this week. So, and they still kept the title on him. So I'm a bit curious on that one, how they're going to move forward there and really take the title away from Lashley. Although Magnus, before the main event, cut a promo saying he's the next in line, not Alberto Patron. So I think there's going to be a little contenders match, probably somewhere coming up next couple of weeks. It was overall a good showing and a really good storytelling development, because they moved forward with the storytelling. They added elements to it. So again, and the main 6-way main event was still a good match. So the X Division guys, you had Desmond Xavier debuting in Impact. He was part of Combat Zone Wrestling, I believe, if I'm correct, and Low Key returning and winning the title. Well, I don't know why they couldn't let Sunday Duck win. I was a bit, he gave Sunday Duck time early on in the night. Why not let him be that star to come back, saying, look, I want this go back. So Low Key just comes in out of nowhere and win the title back. So again, I'm not quite sure why they didn't allow Sunday Duck to win the title. That would be the only real big downfall I have of the night. But again, Impact overall was a good showing. So to try to say which show was the best out of the three, it's very close between NXT and Impact. NXT had good development and really good solid storytelling, but I'll have to say that Impact was a little bit better on the storytelling this week, so I'm going to give it to Impact Wrestling this week as the best show out of the three, because they move forward with their storytelling a little bit more further than I think what NXT did. NXT still move forward, no doubt. They're very close, but I think Impact just did that little bit more of a pushing forward to get you to watch next week. You know, why to be interested for next week. So definitely, I think Impact just got it by about that much more from NXT. NXT was definitely still a good show, solid booking, solid storytelling, but Impact just took it slightly. So hope you guys like the review. I'm still learning with the reviews and stuff, so if they sound batchy and everything, I will try and clear them up over time. If you like them, please subscribe, comment on your thoughts below if you watched the free shows or even one of the shows, and just let me know. And hopefully you guys have a good weekend. God bless.